Namaste and welcome to the 6th in the series of an introduction to Iyengar Yoga with me, Sarah Agelasto. This is the final class in this series, and so we'll be doing a review of some of the poses that we've gone through, and we'll focus also on the hips and pelvis. So we'll start seated in Sukhasana, or easy pose. We'll cross the left shin in front of the right and allow the feet to be forward towards the knees, or the fronts of the thighs. The pelvis is upright. So you're seated on your sit bones and the pelvis is seated upright. The sides of the waist are lifted up. The shoulders roll back and away from the ears. The shoulder blades move into the back. And the center of the chest, the sternum, is lifted. The back of the neck is long. The throat is soft. And you can gently close your eyes for a moment. As we keep the chest lifted, we'll take our hands into Namaskar in front of our hearts, allowing the base of the thumbs to gently lift the center of the chest up as you press the palms evenly into one another. The shoulders remain back, the back of the neck is long, and the eyes are quiet. Bow your head towards your hands. Release your hands to your thighs, lift your head, and open your eyes. We'll move from here into a standing position. So just a reminder that you'll need a couple of props for this class. The same props we've been using over the last several weeks. So a couple of blankets, a couple of blocks. One is okay. If you have two, that's better. A strap. And if you found that you needed a wedge for some of the standing poses in previous weeks, have a wedge. And remember, if you don't have a wedge, you can use a rolled sticky mat or even a rolled blanket for your heel. All right, I'm going to move these blankets out of the way. And we'll start in Tadasana, or mountain pose. We'll have the feet together. We'll lift and spread our toes wide, balancing the weight on the inner and outer edges of the feet. Draw up on your kneecaps. Lift up on your thighs. Lengthen the tops of the buttocks down, lengthening the lower back. Draw the abdomen towards the spine. Lift the center of the chest as you roll the shoulders back and away and reach the arms from the shoulders. The neck is long and the head is in line with the shoulders. We'll raise our hands overhead into Urdhva, our upward hands pose. So we'll draw the arms forward, maintaining the weight evenly on the feet. We'll externally rotate our upper arms and then inhale and draw the arms overhead by the ears. Stretch the elbows, stretch the fingers, have a long line of energy all the way from the feet across the outer edges of the hips, across the sides of the body, across the armpits, through the elbows and through the fingertips. We'll inhale and then exhale, lower the arms back down by the sides of the waist. And we'll practice Veerbhadra, or upward bound fingers pose. So we'll interlace the fingers, right thumb and forefinger on top. Press the palms forward, stretch the elbows, stretch the palms evenly in front of you as you draw the arms back into the shoulders. And then inhale and take the arms overhead. Again, press the palms evenly up towards the ceiling. Pinky side and forefinger side pressing evenly towards the ceiling as you stretch the elbows, stretch the armpits and use the arms to lengthen the sides of the body. Inhale and exhale, lower the arms. We'll change the interlace, so the left thumb and forefinger cross on top. And then we'll press the palms forward, stretching the elbows. Draw the arms back into the shoulders, and then inhale and take the arms back overhead by the ears. Pressing the palms evenly up towards the ceiling. You can take a peek at your hands to see that they're pressing evenly towards the ceiling. Stretch the elbows, stretch the armpits. Use the arms to lengthen all the way from the outer feet, across the hips, and out through the arms. Inhale and exhale, lower the arms, bend the elbows, release the hands down by the sides of the waist. We'll practice Urdhva Namaskarasana. So Namaskarasana, we'll place our hands in front of our chest. In Urdhva Namaskarasana, we'll take the hands overhead. So we'll stretch the arms forward just like we do in Urdhva Hastasana. And then inhale and take the arms overhead. We'll stretch the arms, stretch the elbows straight. Take the arms slightly back behind the ears if you can, and keeping the elbows straight, draw the palms closer and closer together. If the elbows aren't able to stay straight, just stay in Urdhva Hastasana. If you can keep the elbows straight, you can begin to take the arms and palms closer to one another. Palms pressing. And then inhale and exhale, lower the arms back down by the ears. We'll do one more arm position today called Paschima Baddha Hastasana. In this position, I'll turn around so you can see. We'll take the right arm behind the back and grab the left elbow, and then we'll reach the left arm to grab the right elbow. So you're holding onto your elbows. If you're not able to reach your elbows, you can take your wrists behind you. Otherwise, you grab your elbows, and then staying in Tadasana, you'll lift and roll the shoulders back and away and move those shoulder blades again into the back. So the shoulders are going to want to come forward and the sides of the waist will collapse. So your work is to roll the shoulders back and away and lift the sides of the body, maintaining the lift in the chest. And then we'll release the left arm, we'll release the right arm and stretch the arms down by the sides of the waist. And then we'll practice again. We'll reach the left arm back behind us, and then we'll reach the right arm back behind us. So we're grabbing either elbow. And again, if you can't grab your elbows, you can grab your wrists behind you. So try to reach for the elbows, and then don't allow the shoulders to come forward, but instead lift the side body, lift the shoulders and roll the shoulders back and away, keeping the chest open and broad, broadening across your collarbones. And then you'll release your right arm and release your left arm down. The next pose we'll practice is Virasana or tree pose. So we've practiced this pose a couple of times, and I just want to remind you that you can always go back to a previous variation of the pose. And one of the variations we practiced with this pose was to use the wall. So we stood with our back to the wall, practicing Virasana at the wall. You can stand with the side of the body to the wall, so you can have the hand there for balance. And oftentimes people will practice the pose facing the wall, so quite close to the wall, facing the wall, so that you don't have things around you that might be distracting. So it narrows your focus and helps you to balance when you face the wall. You can also have a chair beside you to hold on to for this pose as well. So you can use one of those variations, or you can practice it in the middle of the room. So we'll stand in Tadasana, and we'll take the weight onto the left leg. We'll bend the right knee and take the knee out to the side. So the hips and pelvis stay forward in this position as you take the knee out to the side. If balance is okay with the foot low, you can take the foot higher on the top of the thigh. The foot is in the center of the thigh as the toes point down towards the floor. And then you can take your hands into Namaskar in front of your heart to begin as you steady your gaze and find your balance. So the pelvis is forward as you extend from the inner knee to from the inner groin to the inner knee, taking that knee out to the side. At the same time, draw back on the outer knee towards the outer hip. You'll draw the hips in. So you'll draw that outer left hip in as you press the right foot into the left thigh. So you're compacting your hips. The chest is lifted, standing leg is steady, and then you can reach your arms overhead again in Urdhva Namaskar Asana. So reaching the arms, taking the upper arms back behind the ears as you stretch the arms up. Again, if the elbows bend, you can take the arms slightly apart into Urdhva Hastasana. And then we'll take the hands back in front of the chest, release the foot, and release the hands. Back into Tadasana. So we'll stand steady in Tadasana, centering ourselves again for this balancing pose. We'll take the weight into the right leg now, bend the left knee, and place the sole of the foot either low on the calf or above the knee into the top of the right thigh. So the left foot presses into the top of the thigh with the toes pointing down, and the outer hip and outer thigh press in towards the foot to help create a steadiness in the pose. Drawing the outer hips in towards one another, compacting the hips as you take your hands into Namaskar in front of your heart. The right leg is steady as you extend from the inner groin to the inner knee and then draw back again from the outer knee to the outer hip. So drawing those outer hips in again. Compacting the hips, the pelvis is forward as you extend the knee out to the side. And then, with the gaze steady, we'll reach the arms overhead into Urdhva Namaskar Asana. Stretch the elbows and stretch the arms straight as you take the upper arms slightly behind the ears. Reaching the arms to lengthen the side body. And then we'll lower the arms back to the chest, release the foot, and release the arms back to Tadasana. Next, we'll review Utthita Trikanasana, or extended triangle pose. So you'll have your blocks at the ready. We'll start in Tadasana. Inhale the fingertips up and step or hop the arms and legs wide apart. We'll turn the right leg and foot out all the way from the top of the thigh. We'll turn that leg out and we'll turn the left foot in slightly. The pelvis is open and the pelvis is towards the front of the room as you turn the right leg out to the side. We'll reach the arms from the shoulders, keep the torso lengthening, and instead of thinking of bending from the waist, we'll make sure we're bending from the pelvis and the hips. So we've practiced this before where we inhale and exhale, lengthen the entire side body as you bend from the pelvis, from the top of the thigh, and take your hand down onto the block. The center of the chest is lifted as you spread the arms and move the shoulder blades deeply into the back. The crown of the head lengthens out towards the wall to your right. And we haven't talked much about the gaze in this pose, but the gaze is forward. And if you can keep the chest lifted and the collarbones broad, you can begin to find space to take the gaze up towards your left hand. If this is too much of a strain in the neck to look up towards the left hand, you can keep your gaze forward, or you can even look down towards the right leg. So the chest is open as you take your gaze up towards your hand. And then press your feet and inhale, come back up to standing. And we'll turn the feet. And then we'll turn the left leg and foot out all the way from the top of the thigh. Turn the back foot in. Just like we did last week, we'll draw that outer right hip in as you reach the arms, spreading across the collarbones. We'll inhale and exhale, reaching out over the left leg, extending the sides of the body, bending from the pelvis. We'll take the hand underneath the shoulder, press the hand, rolling the shoulders back, externally rotating the arms as we reach from the center of the chest out through the crown of the head. The shoulders move away from the ears, creating space in the cervical spine, the neck. And with that space, you can begin to take the gaze up towards your right hand. So the right rib cage is moving back. The left rib cage is moving forward as you rotate the torso and begin to turn the head up towards the hands. And then press the feet. Inhale, come back up. We'll turn the feet parallel and then step or hop the arms and legs back to Tadasana. The next pose we'll practice, we'll watch out for our blocks, is Veerbhadra 2, or Warrior 2 position. So starting from Tadasana, we'll inhale the fingertips up, step or hop the arms and legs wide apart. We'll turn the right leg and foot out. We'll turn the back foot in. And we'll press the outer edge of that foot, drawing up on the left knee. And from the top of the left thigh, we'll inhale and exhale, bend the right knee. So we'll draw that outer hip in, keeping the torso upright as we bend the right knee towards over the right ankle. The center of the chest is lifted as you spread the collarbones, reach through the arms, and move the shoulder blades into the back, keeping the chest and torso upright. The right knee bends deeply. And then we'll inhale and straighten the right leg, turn the feet parallel, and then we'll turn the left leg and foot out from the top of the thigh and turn the back foot in. The right outer edge of the foot presses firmly as you draw up on that right knee. Press the top of the right thigh back and draw the outer right hip in. And from the outer right hip, inhale and exhale, bend the left knee deeply. So the knee comes over the ankle. The torso is upright. The center of the chest is lifted. Spread across the collarbones as you reach out through the fingertips and gaze out over your left fingers. Top of the thigh descends down towards the floor. Top of the left thigh descends down towards the floor. And then we'll straighten the left leg, turn the feet parallel, and step or hop the arms and legs back to Tadasana. We have one more standing pose in this lateral position, Utthita Parshvakonasana, or extended side angle pose. So we'll inhale the fingertips up, step or hop, arms and legs wide. You'll need your blocks for this pose, or you may need your blocks for this pose. We'll turn the right leg and foot out, the back foot in slightly, and then again pressing into the outer edge of the left foot. Draw up on the left knee, draw up on the left thigh, and from the outer left hip, bend the right knee. So the torso stays upright, the arms stretch from the shoulders, and then from here we'll inhale and exhale, extend out over the right leg, placing the right hand onto a block. As you bend your right knee deeply, press the right arm down, externally rotate the arms, spread from the shoulders, spread from the center of the chest, out through the arms, and then externally rotate the left arm and take the left arm overhead by the ear. The top of the right thigh descends. The outer left hip draws in, and you extend from there out through the fingertips. The gaze is forward, but again, same thing as in Uttanasana Trikanasana, with the chest lifted, the shoulders rolling away from the ears, the gaze begins to turn up towards the left hand. And then we'll press our feet and inhale, come back up. Turn the feet parallel. And then we'll turn the left leg and foot out, the back foot in slightly. We'll press firmly the outer edge of the right foot, draw up on the right knee, and from the outer right hip, bend the left knee. So the knee comes over the ankle. The chest is lifted, the collarbones are broad. As we inhale and exhale, reach out over the left leg, placing your hand onto a block, keeping both sides of the waist even. The top of the left thigh descends down. The outer right hip draws in. Externally rotate the arms, moving the shoulders away from the ears, and then externally rotate the right arm and take the right arm overhead by the ear. Again, with the shoulders moving away from the ears, the shoulder blades moving into the back, and the chest lifted, we'll begin to turn the gaze up towards our right hand. So drawing that outer right hip in, extend all the way from there out through the fingertips. And then we'll press our feet, inhale, come back up, turn the feet parallel, and step or hop back into Tadasana. So we'll turn the orientation of our hips and pelvis in the next couple of poses. So we'll take our two blocks towards the top of the right side of the mat. And I'm going to have my wedge ready. The first pose that we'll practice is called Ardha Uttanasana, or half intense stretch pose. Again, a reminder that we practice this pose in week 3 at the wall, calling it fingertips at the wall. And you can always practice that variation of the pose as well. So we'll stand with our feet hip distance, just behind our blocks, maybe a little bit further behind the blocks. The feet are parallel. The legs are in Tadasana with the thighs pressing back. The shoulders roll back and away from the ears as you move the shoulder blades into the back and lift the chest. We'll inhale and exhale, come forward, bending at the hips, and we'll take the hands underneath the shoulders. With the weight steady in the legs, we'll have just the fingertips onto your blocks. You can press the hands down, roll the shoulders back, and move the shoulder blades into the back, lengthening both sides of the waist towards the wall in front of you. Aiming for the concavity of the spine. So you can, remember, you don't have to be at the highest level of your blocks, and some of you may not even need blocks. But in order for me to get the concavity in the spine, I need the high height of the block as I move the shoulder blades into the back. And then we'll make sure that the weight is in the legs as we draw up on our thighs. We'll exhale our hands to our waist, lengthening the chest forward and up to come out of the pose. And then we'll practice Padottanasana, or intense stretch of the sides of the body, or intense stretch to the side pose. So we'll start with the feet together in this pose. You can take your hands onto your waist and step the right leg forward and the left leg back. So you may or may not need a wedge, but the heel presses down, the outer edge of the left heel presses down, the left knee lifts up, the top of the left thigh presses back as the left hip moves forward. The outer left hip moves forward towards the front of the room. And then the inner edge of the right foot presses as you draw up on the right knee, stretching the top of the right thigh up. We'll draw the right hip back. So the outer right hip moves back. So you're moving your pelvis towards parallel to the front of the room. From there, the shoulders roll back. The sides of the waist lift as the center of the chest lifts, moving the shoulder blades deeply into the back. Inhale and exhale, come forward over the right leg. The hands again can be underneath the shoulders, and you can use whatever height block you need to make the spine concave. So the weight again is in the legs. As you press the hands down, the shoulders roll back and away from the ears. The inner shoulder blades move into the back as you stretch the chest forward towards the front of the room. And then we'll exhale our hands to our waist. Inhale, come back up. Legs are stretched straight. And we'll step the left leg forward and the right leg back to the center of the mat. And then with the hands again on the hips, we'll stretch the left leg forward, step the left leg forward, and step the right leg back. We'll press the outer edge of the right foot, lifting up on the right knee, drawing up on the right thigh as you draw the outer right hip forward towards the wall in front of you. And then we'll press the inner edge of the right foot, drawing up on the right inner edge of the left foot. We'll draw up on the left knee, and the top of the left thigh presses back as the outer left hip draws back. So again, you're moving your pelvis towards parallel to the front of the room. The shoulders roll back and away, the elbows move back as you lift the side body and lift the center of the chest, getting as much length in the torso as you can, and then inhale and exhale, come forward. So the hands are underneath the shoulders at whatever height you need. The weight is steady in the legs. As you roll the shoulders back, move the shoulder blades into the back and take the chest forward towards the wall in front of you. Again, it's a little bit harder to feel in this pose, but you're still pressing the inner left foot and drawing that left hip back, and pressing the outer right foot and drawing the right hip forward. Trying to get evenness on both sides of the waist by adjusting the pelvis. And then exhale the hands to the waist, and inhale, come back up. Step the right leg forward and the left leg back. We can do away with our blocks, and we'll practice Uttanasana, or fierce pose. So we'll take the feet together, stand in Tadasana, take the hands onto the waist, roll the shoulders back and away. Inhale and exhale, bend the knees. So we'll just do the legs first. So we'll descend the outer hips. We'll descend the tops of the left thigh, the tops of the thighs as we roll the shoulders back and lift the chest. The weight is towards the heels. The shoulder blades move into the back and the collarbones spread to lift the chest. And then we'll straighten our legs and release our hands into Tadasana. Uttanasana, fierce pose. We'll take the arms forward, draw the outer upper arms in as we inhale and take the arms overhead by the ears, stretching the arms to stretch the side body. We'll inhale and exhale and bend the knees, taking the outer hips down, moving the tops of the buttocks down towards the floor, taking the weight towards your heels as you descend the legs and lift the chest. And then we'll straighten the legs and lower the arms. And remembering again, class 3, where we took the pose to the wall, so you can also practice the pose on the wall. Next pose is Veerbhadra 1, or Warrior 1 pose. So we'll take our hands onto our waist and we'll step the right leg forward and the left leg back. Again, press the outer edge of the left foot to take that left hip forward. Press the inner edge of the right foot to take the right hip back. The pelvis is upright. The chest is upright. The shoulders roll back and away as you inhale and exhale and bend the right knee. So deep bend in the right knee. You descend the hips, descend the top of the right thigh, stretch the back leg back, the pelvis moving towards the wall in front of you, and then maintain the bend in the right knee as you stretch the arms forward, and inhale, take the arms overhead by the ears. Stretch the arms to lift the chest and begin to take the arms slightly back behind the ears. The shoulder blades move into the back and the chest lifts. The abdomen moves away from the top of the right thigh. And then straighten the right leg and lower the arms. And then we'll step the left leg forward and the right leg back. On the left side, we'll step the left leg forward and the right leg back. The outer right foot presses, drawing that right hip forward. The inner left foot presses, drawing the left hip back. The shoulders roll back and away from the ears as the chest lifts. Inhale and exhale and bend the left knee. Taking a deep bend in the left knee, the top of the left thigh moving down towards the floor as you reach out through the right leg. Keeping the chest lifted, reach the arms forward and take the arms overhead by the ears. Stretch the arms, stretch the elbows, stretch the sides of the body as you begin to take the upper arms back behind the ears, moving the shoulder blades into the chest and lifting the center of the chest. And then straighten the left leg and lower the arms. Step the right leg forward and the left leg back to Tadasana. I am going to move my sticky mat for this next pose. So we'll turn the sticky mat just so you can see me from the side. You don't need to turn your sticky mat in this pose. But this pose is called Prasarita Padottanasana, or extended legs wide pose. We'll stand in the center of our mat, but we'll stand towards the back edge of our mat. With the hands on the waist, we'll step or hop the arms, we'll step or hop the legs wide. The feet stay parallel in this pose, but the weight is even on the feet. You'll press the inner and outer edges of the feet evenly as you draw up on the legs, draw up on the thighs, and begin to draw the outer hips in again. So we'll draw from the outer hips in towards the center of the pelvis. Maintain that as you roll the shoulders back, move the shoulder blades into the back and lift the chest. You can even begin to take the head up towards the ceiling. And then inhale and exhale, again keeping the weight in your legs. We'll take the chest forward and we'll take our hands underneath our shoulders. So we want to maintain the hips over the ankles in this pose, in line with the ankles. So they're not swinging back behind you, but staying in line with the ankles and the back of the mat. We'll press our hands down, roll the shoulders back, and move the shoulder blades deeply into the back. So the weight is even on the feet. Draw up on the kneecaps, draw up on the thighs, and draw the outer hips in as you, from there, take the chest forward. The sides of the waist forward, the shoulders back, and the center of the chest forward. Creating concavity in the spine. And then we'll exhale our hands to our waist, keeping the weight forward as you inhale and come back up. And then we'll step or hop the legs back to Tadasana. I'm going to turn my sticky mat back to the way it was. And we'll practice Dandasana, or staff pose, the seated pose. You may or may not want support underneath your pelvis. But remember, we'll use the support if we are unable to keep our pelvis upright or the knees bend. So if the pelvis is leaning back or the knees are buckling as you sit in this position, take more height so that you can create more space in the lower back. So the legs are stretched straight. The hands reach down by the sides of the waist. As you press your hands down, the shoulders move back and the shoulder blades move into the back. The tops of the thighs press down as you reach out through the inner line of the legs. The back body moves into the front body, and the chest and front body stay lifted. Maintaining that, we'll take the arms forward and then up over the head. So we'll stretch the arms to lengthen all the way from the outer hips, across the arms, out through the fingertips, creating a long line of energy from the outer hips through the fingertips. And then we'll inhale and exhale, lower the arms back down by the waists. And then we'll come down onto our back, and you'll need a strap. And you may want support for your head, but not for this first pose. So the first pose is called Ardha Prasarita Padottanasana, or upward extended feet pose. And again, a reminder, this is the same pose that we did in week 3 with the legs at the wall. So that's a supported variation of this pose. This is the classical pose where you're really using your abdomen and legs to engage the pose. Legs up the wall is a restorative variation of the pose where the abdomen is relaxed and the legs are supported. So again, you can practice that pose if you need a more supported variation. But today, we'll do a variation. We'll do a couple variations. And again, they're in levels. So you can start with one, and if that seems like enough, you don't have to move on to the next one. But when you're ready for the next one, you can move on to the next one. So to begin, the back body's on the floor, the arms stretch by the sides of the waist. Then we'll draw the thighs perpendicular to the floor, and already from here, we'll reach out through the feet. The abdomen moves towards the spine. The sides of the waist move down towards the floor as you stretch the legs up to 90 degrees. The backs of the legs are long. The backs of the knees are open. The tops of the thighs press away from you. Stretch the feet up towards the ceiling. And then we'll bend the knees and place the feet on the floor. So you can start with that variation. The next variation, I will move this. And you don't want to have anything overhead by your ears. So we'll start with the knees bent, the arms stretching by the sides of the waist, shoulders down, outer shoulders move down, inner shoulders move into the back, the collarbones and front of the chest are broad, side body is long. We'll draw the knees up to 90 degrees, perpendicular to the floor. The abdomen moves towards the spine as you stretch the legs up to 90 degrees, reaching out through the feet as if you're pressing the feet into the ceiling. And then either staying here, or you can inhale and take the arms overhead by the ears. So the arms come all the way down to the floor. If there is some impingement in the shoulders, or you're not able to keep the arms straight or take the arms all the way to the floor, you can use support and place your arms, your hands onto some support at whatever level you need to take any impingement out of the shoulders. Stretch the arms, stretch the legs, and then we'll inhale, exhale, lower the arms by the sides of the waist, bend the knees, and place the feet on the floor. And we'll practice one more variation. Again, you can go back to the previous variations, but I'll show you one more variation where we'll take the thighs perpendicular to the floor, reach out through the feet to begin, and then stretch the legs up to 90 degrees, opening the backs of the knees. Inhale, take the arms overhead. And then your option is to extend from the buttocks to the heels as you lower the legs to 45 degrees. So it's a little more challenging on the abdomen. As we reach out through the legs, sides of the waist move down, tops of the thighs move down towards the floor, and then we'll inhale and take the legs back up to 90. Inhale, exhale, lower the arms by the sides of the waist, and then bend the knees and place the feet on the floor. Next pose we'll practice is called Padottanasana. We practiced this pose last week. So we'll take a strap around the fronts of the ankles, and we'll separate the feet hip width. So remember, we used a measurement last week where we took the heels in towards the buttocks. We'll take the feet together, and then we'll separate the heels, leaving the toes where they are, and then we'll take keep the heels where they are and separate the toes. So the feet are hip distance and parallel. Then we'll hold onto the strap in front of our ankles. We'll already start here by pressing the upper arms down and moving the outer shoulders to the ground. Remember, this is Padottanasana, or four-footed pose, so the outer shoulders become the two other feet. And then holding onto the strap, we'll press the inner and outer edges of the feet evenly as we lift the hips up towards the ceiling. And then we'll roll onto the left shoulder and externally rotate the right arm, taking that right shoulder down. And then we'll roll onto the right shoulder and externally rotate the left arm and take the left shoulder down. And we'll pull the strap against the fronts of the ankles and lift the pelvis up towards the ceiling. Move the buttocks up towards the ceiling as you lift the shoulder blades and chest towards the chin. And then lengthening the buttocks towards the heels, we'll lower our pelvis back down to the floor. So some people are able to grab the fronts of their ankles in this pose. I am not one of them, but some people's arms and flexibility in their spine will allow them to do that. But another way you can practice as you begin to develop flexibility in this pose is to place your palms, you step on your heels. So this is another option for practicing the pose once you've gained the flexibility, if you don't want to use the strap. So we'll try that. So the feet stay hip distance and parallel. The outer shoulders move down towards the floor. As you press the inner and outer edges of the feet evenly, lift the hips. And then same thing, we'll roll onto the left shoulder, externally rotate the right arm down, and we'll roll onto the right shoulder and externally rotate the left shoulder down. And you might be able to get your hands a little bit further under your heels. Press the heels down and lift the hips up. The outer hips lift up towards the ceiling. The middle of the buttocks moves up towards the ceiling. Extend from the outer hips to the outer knees as you lift the pelvis. And then press the upper arms down. And can you move the shoulder blades into the back to lift the chest more? And then extend the buttocks down towards the heels as you lower yourself down and release your grip. And then roll onto our side. And come up. And we'll practice Ardha Mukha Shavasana. And again, a reminder, we practice this pose at the wall with our hands at the wall in week 3. So you may find that that's the way that you'd like to practice to begin to practice this pose. And remembering too that if you have some shoulder issues or tightness in the shoulders, tightness in the upper back, you can place your hands onto 1 or 2 blocks or even use a chair at the wall if you need a little more height. So you can go back to that variation as we move along through the classes, or you can practice the way we've practiced the last couple of weeks, where we'll take our knees apart, our toes together, and we'll reach our arms overhead into Ardha Mukha Virasana pose. The forehead comes down, the hips move back towards the heels, and the arms stretch overhead. We'll stretch the arms as we come onto all fours. We'll take the knees closer together so that they're underneath our hips. The toes can be hip width. The roots of the palms press down, the fingers stretch, the centers of the palms stretch down towards the floor as you externally rotate your arms and move the shoulder blades deeper into the back. We'll turn the toes under as we maintain that, lengthen the chest and the shoulder blades moving into the back. Press the hands and lift the hips. Stretch the hips back towards the heels as you maintain that length in the upper arms and chest. And then with the hips stretching back towards the heels, begin to straighten the legs and extend the heels down towards the floor. So the arms stretch straight, the chest is being pressed back towards your legs, and the tops of the thighs and hips are moving away from you towards the wall behind you. And then we'll bend our knees and come back to Mukha Virasana. Resting down with the hips down towards the heels, the arms stretched overhead. And then we'll come on to all fours again. The fingertips are forward. The fingers stretch. The roots of the palms press down. The centers of the palms press down. As you externally rotate the arms and move the outer shoulders back and the shoulder blades into the back. The knees are underneath the hips. The feet are in line with the knees and hips. We'll turn the toes under. Maintain the pressure of the fingers and palms into your sticky mat. As you lift the hips, stretch the arms, move the shoulder blades into the back, and press the hips back. With the chest press back and the hips press back, extend the heels down towards the floor, opening the backs of the knees. The outer hips stretch back, the tops of the thighs stretch back, and both sides of the inner and outer edges of the heel press down towards the floor. And then we'll bend our knees and press ourselves back to Ardha Mukha Virasana. We'll take our blanket now onto our sticky mat. So we'll open it up so that it's lengthwise on our sticky mat. Removing any wrinkles, pressing any wrinkles out of the blanket, and then you can have a blanket near your head for Shavasana. We'll do one more pose before Shavasana, so you'll need your strap, and we'll practice Supta Padangustasana, or supine big toe pose. So you'll lie down on your sticky mat, the head down, and again remember in week 3 we practiced this pose at the wall. So you can always practice with the feet stretched onto the wall. For now, we'll practice in the middle of the room, and we'll take our strap, and we'll place the strap around the top of the heel of the right foot. So you'll hold the strap in either hand, and then stretch that leg, just like we did in Urdhva Prasarita Padottanasana, up towards 90 degrees. The back of the knee is open, the top of the thigh presses away towards the back of the thigh. And then maintain that as you stretch the left leg down to the floor. Imagine that you're pressing that foot into a wall. So the inner and outer edges of both feet press evenly. The kneecaps are lifted and the backs of the knees are open as you press the tops of the thighs towards the backs of the thighs. The arms reach towards the foot as you draw the arms down into the shoulder sockets and pull the outer right hip away from you. The top of the right thigh presses away from you so you keep both sides of the waist even. Legs are stretched. And then we'll remove the strap and lower the right leg. And then you'll bend both knees, place the soles of the feet on the floor. We'll place the strap around the top of the heel of the left foot, and we'll stretch the left leg up to 90 degrees. So reach up through the inner and outer edges of that foot, opening the back of the knee, pressing the thigh away from you. And then stretch the right leg down to the floor as if you were pressing that right foot into the wall. Inner and outer edges of both feet press. The kneecaps lift and the backs of the thighs and knees are open, and the tops of the thighs press towards the backs of the thighs. The outer left hip, outer left thigh move away from you, creating length on both sides of the waist in this pose. Pull the hands against the strap and move the outer shoulders into the shoulder sockets and down to the floor. And then we'll remove the strap and lower the leg down. From here, we can move into Shavasana, or corpse pose. So take a moment to see that you're centered on your blanket. You can lengthen the back of the neck and place your head onto a blanket if you'd like. The blanket is under the head and neck. And then externally rotate your arms, taking the palms up towards the ceiling. The hands and arms are slightly away from the body. And then relax the legs away from one another. And once you've seen that you're centered on your blanket, you can close your eyes and then consciously relax your entire body. So your attention stays with your breath as you begin to relax the entire body. You can move up the body from the feet towards the crown of the head, relaxing each part of the body. You can stay, as I've said over the weeks, as long as you'd like in this pose. As long as you can stay consciously relaxed. The mind isn't wandering, it's staying attentive to the breath. As the entire body relaxes. And when you're ready to come out of the pose, you can carefully place your hands onto your abdomen. And then bend your knees and place the soles of your feet onto the floor, resting there for a moment. And then we'll slowly roll onto our right side. And carefully press yourself up to a comfortable seated position. And we'll sit just for a moment. With the eyes closed, absorbing all that we've done today and over the last several weeks. Acknowledging all that our body has done for us. And we'll take our hands once again into Namaskar, prayer position in front of our hearts. Keeping our chest lifted and our shoulders back as we bow our heads towards our hands, acknowledging the light that exists within each one of us. Namaste. And then you can release your hands, lift your head, and open your eyes. Thank you all for joining for this 6-week series. I hope we'll see you again.